I'll let you introduce the panel from the IAB. Thank you so much for being here.
Awesome. Thank you. So my name is David Cohen. I'm the CEO of IAB. It's great to be here. Great to see all of you. We have got a lot to cover in a short amount of time, so I'm just going to do a quick round robin of intros. So just go down the line, just say your name and who you are and where you work.
Awesome. I'm Lori Baker. I work at Infillion, and I oversee all of our strategic partnerships.
Dan Meradian, VP of Global Client Solutions at Innovid. I specialize in all of our advanced products, including measurement and creative.
Darren Sheriff, Fox Corporation. I work in advanced TV and basically manage product and operations.
Dan Reese, Chief Growth Officer for TelevisaUnivision.
Shane Ankeny, President of Havas Media Group, and I foolishly have been chosen to represent the agency buy side.
All right. Awesome. You guys did great. So some of these we're going to do as jump balls, and some of them I'm going to call on you, okay, so you have to pay attention. The first one's going to be a jump ball. Ready? Just as an icebreaker question. For anyone, what is the best CTV ad you have ever seen, and why?
I'll jump. The best ad I've seen, there's two that come to mind. The first one is a personalization experience. Everybody knows the Share a Coke campaign. We rendered users' first names onto the bottle, and it was in partnership with a publisher that was passing us that information, so it was all opted-in information. But a beautiful, beautiful execution, full motion video. The spokesmodel's holding the bottle as she's moving it in space. The name is rendered onto the bottle, and the other was a wonderful interactive experience that allowed the user to explore recipes, download those to their phone via QR code. Great experience.
So did you see those as a consumer or as someone that works at Innovid?
Corporate
both?
chill? Both.
Okay, I won't discount that. Anyone else have a, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just add one also, but to answer your second question first, have not seen it as a consumer. And I'll give a little plug to Infillion, but we did an incredible opportunity with Amazon Alexa where the consumer could actually speak to the television through the remote and engage with the commercial that way. So they could turn the lights on, they could play with the fish in the fish tank. And so I think that that's an awesome opportunity to start seeing more voice-enabled come to the ecosystem, but yeah. So
Okay, one last one. Anyone?
I mean, I'm going to give a biased one as well, seeing as the rest of us did. The Tubi one during Super Bowl, right? The sitting on a remote. I think everyone got freaked out by that one. I saw it as a consumer, even though I work for the company. But I remember where my remote was, and I know nobody sat on it. So I'm watching this, and my wife was like, "What is going on? Did you change the channel?" And I'm like laughing to myself because I knew what was going to happen.
yeah, I have to admit that was a good one.
That was really good, yep. All right, so next question is another jump ball. So in the battle between subscriptions and ads, which there is, at the IAB, the A is for advertising, so we like ad-supported environments. Do we think that that balance is going to change over time? Our consumer, if you ask 1,000 consumers, what do they prefer? Ads and a defrayed cost, or they prefer paying more subscriptions? Where does it reside today, and where do we think it goes in the future?
My gut tells me that they would all prefer no ads, but I think from a cost perspective, everyone will appreciate ads or at least accept ads because it gives them opportunity to enjoy great programming. And I think also it's so easy today to go in and out of services that you're going to continue to find everybody's either paying for some and then pulling out and then going on an ad-supported and pulling out. So I think it's, I think that people are going to enjoy both and continue to use that.
Can I do a quick follow-up, actually?
Yeah.
What do we think threatens that? If we don't do X as an industry, how can we screw that up?
Change the ad experience to be a better ad experience, because that's what's pulling people away, is when you still have a 3-minute ad pod. Traditional, I don't want to be disrupted. Let me have how I consume this content. Either all the ads up front, ads in a different experience, more opt-in, more engagement. I think it's just the ad experience.
Yeah, I think to answer the first question, I don't think we ever underestimate the cheapness of the American consumer. So if we give them an option that is less and will be ad-supported, then that will continue to grow. I think to answer the second question, ad load, as long as we keep it down, as long as we keep it an experience, then I think there will be plenty of consumers that will pick the ad-supported option. It's something that they've naturally grown up with, have been, viewing that way for decades. If the ad loads continue to or rise, it's to be an unhealthy experience, and I think we could see it flip.
I think that from a business standpoint, that you'll see the trend shift towards ad-supported. The balance, it'll never be all, but I think subscription alone is a tough business, especially with all the competition, and to run that is expensive. And I think that you'll see publishers looking for both revenue streams.
And just to build on what everybody is saying, David, and I love that you position this from a consumer experience perspective, and Lori and everybody built beautifully on it. What we're seeing as an ad server, we serve about 1 billion impressions a day across all different services and formats. We see every brand, every creative, every platform. And what we've been able to observe with our data is a shift from Q3 22 into Q1 23, making sure I'm getting it right. We've seen the shift of impressions into ad-supported from a user time spent perspective. This is a user choice, users and platforms that were both ad-supported and non-ad-supported over time. We've seen through that time period about a 25% increase in users spending time with ad-supported content. So from a data perspective, 24.8%. To be precise, but we've seen that move, and consumers are choosing the ad-supported model. And I think with more inventory coming online, and if we preserve the experience and we don't give them 2 minutes of ads or 5 minutes of ads for every X minute of content, we're gonna continue to see it.
We're gonna dabble in this a little bit more in a second, but the flip side of that is making money, which I think most folks want to do. So lighter ad load than certainly linear television. How long can we keep that up for? Or are we going to be able to charge 5x for CTV ads that we charge for linear ads? That's a lucky strike extra for anyone that wants to take it.
I'll take it only because I think that's what we're doing now with our guaranteed attention product as our core Truex product. We're giving the consumer an opportunity to engage with one ad for 30 seconds, and we'll take them right back to their programming. When you can go to an advertiser and say, one, you have a human opt-in, one, you have a guaranteed human interacting with your commercial, and it's an exclusive opportunity within a pod, that's when advertisers are going to pay 2, 3, 4, 5, 10x what they're paying from a CPM perspective.
As the sole buy-side representative, Shane. Oh, I'm looking at you. Oh, yeah. Is that 10? Is it about effectiveness, not efficiency?
Well, always. Efficient effectiveness is what I like to say. Honestly, I think it is. I think it's just a matter of how much we can scale it. Or if there is scale there. It's always going to be that. That's always going to be the question we'll always buy effectiveness as long as we can scale and as long as it doesn't get to be too outrageously expensive. But yeah, if we can actually buy guaranteed effectiveness, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Okay, cool. We're going to skip to next question. Infillion and Innovid just announced a partnership. Can you guys talk a little bit about that and why are you excited about it?
Let me just start because it totally follows up on Shane's comment. The reason that we did it at Infillion is to scale innovation. So one of the challenges to scaling innovation today is the demands on the publisher side, where innovation comes with software. Software takes engineering resources. And when Innovid has an SDK, and I have an SDK, and Brightline has an SDK, and Nielsen has an SDK, and Comscore has an SDK, the only way that we're going to evolve and innovate is if we can commingle technology, and that's exactly what we did. We brought our technology together, so any publisher that has Innovid's SDK can now render our Truex core value exchange ads. So it's all about bringing scale so we can go back to Shane and all of the other buy side and say, we have massive scale that gives exclusivity and guaranteed engagement to your
We
advertisers.
didn't even practice that lead-in.
I was
That
gonna
was
say,
actually...
I teed her up without even knowing I teed her
Yeah,
up.
well done,
I mean,
well done.
that's a panel right here, folks. Because of our
And on the
moderator.
indeed, and on the Innovid side,
Yeah, we're really excited about the partnership as well. From our perspective, enabling these experiences, making them easy to activate, making them easy to create, and then seamlessly flowing those tags into the partners where that inventory is made available. And again, where we sit in the ecosystem, it's all about the enablement of these experiences and bringing those to consumers.
awesome. So we talked about light ad load. We talked a little bit about consumer experience. Can we talk a little bit about that before we move on to the next topic, which is attention? The consumer experience in CTV and ad-supported VOD is wide-ranging. As a consumer, you watch it, sometimes there's frequency issues with the same ads. I'm not going to answer my own question, but how do you assess the consumer experience today, and what are any of you doing to change that for the better?
So
Dan?
one of the things we're trying to focus on, which I think it talks about attention and effectiveness, et cetera, is building out sort of custom and integrated creative so that it matches the context. And that is harder to scale, but if you look at what goes on in social, for example, there's a ton of much quicker turn, much more integrated content to the platform, and I think that's going to help a lot of the different challenges that are faced by CTV right now. It's harder to scale from a reach frequency standpoint. It's harder to measure, but everything that you're trying to do that improves consumer experience generally is. So we're focused on that, and I think on CTV there's a really fabulous opportunity to mix data and targeting and getting the right thing to the right person with advertising that fits in the context that it's in.
I think just to build on that, the data targeting, the ad relevancy, CTV brings some of the sort of core digital pieces that you had in the linear streaming world now into the digital world, and you have some of these advanced tools. So whether it's addressability, whether it is sharing log files after the fact for attribution on the end, I think there's just so much more value for the advertiser, and then also from the consumer standpoint. I think one of the big things too is discoverability, right? We're talking about all of these different subscriber platforms or ad-supported platforms, but I think one of the key things when we talk about user experience is discoverability of content. We have so much out there, but you log into a screen and you just see like 5, 6 options, and you have to scroll. And then I hear at home, hey, I don't know what to watch. There's nothing to watch. And I'm like, there is so much content out there, right? So I think just making that part of the consumer experience sort of easy for the consumer to digest, I think that's going to, continue to change things.
Yeah, I was going to add, everybody has the experience of logging into a platform and scrolling through, trying to find something, and then an hour later you're still there. And I think that's what folks were talking about a couple of years ago with CTV being this laid-back experience, and I disagree with that ultimately. We're completely leaned in, we're engaged, we have the remote in our hand. So by enabling these interactive experiences, you're presenting an option to a consumer to have a better ad experience overall, and it benefits from what everyone else is saying in terms of this is where digital has finally begun to, impact what's happening on the big screen in the television. For so many years, the linear experience has influenced the digital experience, and now we're seeing whether it's measurement, whether it's creative experience, whether it's interactivity, all of what we've been doing for years and years and years in digital is now happening on the big screen. It's a really, really exciting time.
Cool, awesome. There's some Wizard of Oz vibes every so often with the wind here, isn't there? God. All right, we'll take that, though, other than the heat. So, Shane, this is for you. Consumer attention. So on the spectrum of opportunity to see on one side, business outcome measurement on the other side, attention is probably somewhere in the middle. Instead of getting into a whole debate, which we'll talk about a little bit around measurement versus currency, where do you look? What signals do you look for in terms of determining where you find the best quality attention? Or said another way, what's the best environment for quality attention in your mind?
Well, I guess first, I'd probably put attention a little bit on the right side of
Agreed.
that.
Yep.
It's a little closer to business outcomes. We feel like it's an even better surrogate for the business outcomes. And thank goodness we actually released yesterday our meaningful ad unit. So we're all about meaningful media. We think that money spent in media that is meaningful to the audience is a better investment for our clients. So what better gauge of meaningfulness than attention? So we literally just announced yesterday, thank goodness, the meaningful ad unit with Adelaide and the whole metric around attention. And we are now embedding it in all of our planning tools, all of our partner selection tools for our teams to be able to identify best places, best partners, best availability of in media of where consumers' attention is greatest. So for us, it's hugely, hugely important. We've been doing it for a while. Now we actually have an actual unit, an actual measurement that we've embedded in all of our tools. So for us, it's hugely important, and again, a better surrogate than Opportunity to See or even Reach and some of the others, because it really gets to actually a consumer that is paying attention to our ads.
Yeah. Well, we're working at IAB on standardizing, for lack of a better term, what attention means. Because as you say it and as someone else says it, it actually means different things. So we have a whole task force that's working on that. So that's super exciting, and hopefully we'll get some good progress soon. From what we hear, as we talk to both buyers and sellers, there are a lot of buy-side folks who are interested in moving into kind of currency, attention as a currency. And on the sell side, not so much. Not as many elated sellers, because there's stuff that they can't control in that equation. And I know you're going to talk about what you're doing. Creative is a huge component of driving attention, engagement, and business results, and it's out of your control. I open it up as a jump ball. What do you guys think about that? How do we solve that?
I would just start with, let's separate outcomes from attention, because I think that that's the most important thing. Is sell side, we can't guarantee outcomes, but to build a creative that draws and captures consumers' attention and gets them to engage with you. So I mean, that's where I think as long as we can separate those kind of pieces, maybe we can find a happy medium between the sell and the buy side.
Others?
I mean, I think it's interesting because on the publisher side, you let's say in an hour, you've got 48 minutes of attention that you're developing. So I think with a hand in the creative or help, I know that I can create things that people will engage with for brands. It's much challenging to sell that, but you know, the talent and the context all makes a huge difference in terms of intention. It's not just about the publisher making all the ads. That doesn't make sense, but there are things that in partnership publishers and advertisers can do to make sure the ad's surrounded the right way, even if it's 6 seconds or a few seconds.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's a partnership between everyone, the publisher, the seller, the technology provider, to make sure that, you know, you're providing that best experience to the consumer, and then you're gaining their attention. But no person can do it all.
And let's not forget, it's digital, so we can measure everything. So if an advertiser is interested in attention, then we can give them that metric. If they're interested in engagement, we can give them that metric. So, you know, depending on the client and the use case and the KPI and the inventory and all of the dimensions that make up a successful campaign, the availability of that data has to be there. And I think that's where we sit in terms of the, you know, how we want to provide value to everyone in on the panel and, you know, who we all represent ultimately.
So I'm being corrected, which is fine. Are we all okay with attention as a currency?
I have a question for you. What's the timeline on the task force? Because I think everyone's philosophically okay with attention as a currency, and they're all defining it differently in their own brains. Maybe that was
as you can imagine, when you get a lot, we had 140 people on the first call, we had 110 on the one that was just recent. Getting everyone to agree on anything is difficult. This year is the plan. Hopefully it'll be done this year.
I can give you an out. Attention as currency, sure, but engagement as in currency, reach, frequency as currency, absolutely, all of the above. I think currency is not going to be a one-size-fits-all thing. I think it's going to be a multi-currency environment. And so if you want attention, great, let's give you attention. If you want reach, frequency, outcomes, if you want you know, engagement, those are all valuable metrics that I think make up the banner term measurement. And you know, currency will be, ever evolving. We're not going to be in a place where there's one currency anymore.
I think attention is too abstract. Yeah. Like, attention to me is going to be very different than attention to P&G. So it's going to have to be broad, and it's going to have to be defined by the specific campaign, advertiser, publisher, et cetera.
Okay. If you ever want it to be an actual currency, you're going to have to agree on a definition.
Totally. Yep. All right, we'll talk about ad innovation for a second. What features within interactive ads, QR codes, quizzes, voice control, what's the best way of engaging consumers?
We've found, at least at Infillion, that anything playable drives engagement. So quizzes and polls, and the question I think that's still out there is scanning a QR code interaction? Is that considered interaction? Maybe. But yeah, our data has shown that, that quizzes and playables and kind of is winning right now.
Anyone else?
I mean, I think the QR code is been really strong, in part because I know we're going to talk about shoppability, but that process is very different by platform. And the QR code is almost like the lowest common denominator, but I think it's just taken a long time for consumer behavior to catch up. And I'm not sure why. I think maybe it was menus in COVID, and everyone had this greasy plastic cube that we all had to touch instead of a paper menu. But for whatever reason, QR codes are very effective for us. They're a little more respective of the consumer journey, because I think people can hold on to them and not buy right away, which is, I think, how people want to try something out and look at it at the time. So that's actually been really effective for us.
I think one quick thing to your point, the playable ones, people just get sucked into some sort of poll, some sort of quiz. If they don't want to interact with the ad, they're like, I know the answer to that, and they typically do interact. One thing we do see with QR codes is making sure that QR code is available throughout the entire ad. Too often they show up at the last 5 seconds, and now I'm stumbling on my phone, and by the time I can't scan it, it's already gone. So really just looking at the entire customer experience for that ad and making sure that you're doing the best to provide and gather the metric that you're looking for.
Yeah, I would also say it also depends on device, and if we're thinking about CTV, it's going to take some time to get consumers adopting to the fact that everyone has a phone in their hand, but they may not have the remote control in their hand. And so some playables require the device remote control to engage. If it's a QR code, you're always going to have your phone. It's a lot easier to, I've got it right here. So I do think the consumer adoption and getting the consumer as an industry, even on one device, can the telephone control your channels and everything, but yeah, we just need the consumer to adopt.
Also, back to my point, respect that, yes, they have their phone, but they're not necessarily engaged with the commercial yet, right? So just because they have their phone don't mean they stop looking at Instagram to get it, right? So you have to have that engaging experience, and once again, that QR code available the entire time.
And dual screen, you're seeing a lot more. So all of a sudden a QR code shows up on the TV, they have their phone, they scan it. We have playables now on a mobile device while the commercial is happening, so you can get that dual screen experience with the consumer as well.
Okay, so someone's talked about commerce and shoppability. So the pandemic definitely kick-started QR codes. It also changed commerce probably forever. We've been talking about buying Jennifer Aniston's sweater for about 20 years from friends. We had a good pre-call conversation about this. So what's the leap between inspiration and shopping cart in the living room? There are those that say, we're almost there. Others are saying, no, we're not going to be buying stuff on your big screen in your home. What do you guys think? What's the future of shoppability in the living room?
Yes.
Well, there's certain moments when that may happen. There's certain types of purchases where, but I think consumers tend to want to take their time, right? Social is actually really interesting. You'll scroll through the same carousel 5 or 6 times. Look at the same pair of shoes a couple of times before you actually buy the thing. So I think we're putting too much pressure on Jennifer Aniston's sweater. I think that might get bought, but it might get bought at a later time, and we need to sort of build for that.
Anyone have a complementary or different thought?
I mean, Shoppability in the TV, seen on TV is not new. Been around for years and years and years, and I think one of the things that I mentioned earlier was the idea that digital has influenced linear TV rather than the other way around in this case, and consumers are used to buying things on their phone. I mean, I know you just mentioned, you get a carousel, you start through it, you see it, you expose to it several times, eventually that purchase happens. It's not going to be very different on television, and we are seeing platforms that are enabling add to cart functionality directly from ad units, so you're not going to a product landing page. You're putting that item directly in your cart via a QR code. The thing to remember about QR codes is anything that you can do with a URL, you can do with a QR code. So if that's executing an API call to add something to your cart, shortens that path of purchase. If it's saving something for later, all of those things can be executed with a QR code. It doesn't just have to be a product landing page. And I think that's really the thing that's exciting about what we're seeing in the shoppable CTV space.
Got it. Okay. One of the questions that I ask every interviewee for a job throughout my career, because we're in a business that is very, very into over-sensationalizing and over-hyping something, is what do you believe is overhyped these days? And it's a great stumper question. But you knew that question was coming, so it's not a stumper. What do you guys think is overhyped in the video ecosystem these days? Even with knowing that it's a stumper.
I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
I think that we've decided that certain things are fixed that aren't fixed. And so it's not the metaverse, that's overhyped too, but that's not necessarily CTV. But I think that the frequency cap issue, which is not so much, I think on the publisher side we fixed the frequency cap issue, but we can't always control it because you have buying coming in from multiple channels. So I think as a consumer, I think it's overhyped that we've solved that problem for the consumer, because there's the same ad is being placed by multiple places, sometimes in the same pod for the same reasons by different buyers. And that's going to take a little while to work through, but that's my best stab at overhyped.
I like it. Nice. Someone else give it a whirl.
Singular platform currency. Sorry. Singular metric currency.
Okay.
I think as a broadcaster here, that TV is dead, right? I think TV is, we just need to look at it as the evolution of live linear streaming, just moving to CTV. And from a user perspective, they turn on their TV and they don't care if it's their cable box or they go to an app. They still want to see that live sporting event, live news, whatever it may be. Linear live TV is not dead.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm going to give you guys a C+ on that question, actually.
You wouldn't hire any of us.
None of us are any of us. We're dead.
We're all out.
You're not hired. Yeah. Okay.
C's get degrees.
The flip side is, what are you bullish on? Let's do everyone. Let's go down the line. What are you excited about over the next 12 to 24 months? We'll start here.
Don't start with me. Innovation. I mean, that's like anything other than a 30-second commercial.
Data mobility, how fast the data can move from platform to platform to make things more personal or interactive.
I'd say audience data. Audience data leads to information, leads to action.
I would say the combination of content and commerce and creating places on CTV or linear where consumers can discover things that they might want to buy, and partnering with brands to do that.
I'd say brand experiences might be off topic for this one, but I just feel like, maybe building off what you said, it's how can we make sure that everything a brand does communicates what the brand is, and there's so many more options and abilities to do that now. That, to me, is what I'm bullish on.
Now, that was crisp. That was an A. That was excellent. Very well done. All right, so we're going to do, we've got 3 more questions, and then if anyone has any, can we take questions from the audience? Okay, if anyone has questions here, please think those through. I'm going to give everyone a magic wand, and you're going to wave that magic wand. You're going to change anything you want about the industry today. That's a jump ball. Who waves their magic wand? What do we change?
Ad pods.
Expand.
I think the concept of programming today, where every 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, you have to stop and spend, a minute or 3 minutes watching commercials. We have to create a different commercial experience in this new digital economy. It can't look like old linear commercial modeling.
I love that answer. Okay, anyone else?
I would look for, well, if we talk about CTV and we talk about it as that kind of merger between the best of linear and the best of digital, we're really talking about digital 1.0 and basic interactivity and things like that. To see a little bit more of the social media thinking coming into CTV. The liking, the sharing, the video, which I think is really interesting, the easy edit and quick creative, all those things I think should be thought about.
Okay, cool. We're gonna play a game. Second to last.
Shane's got a wand.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So sorry.
Lori took my answer.
Seriously?
I mean, sorry, but yes, she did. No, I will build on it.
Nice.
That's what you're
Well
supposed to do
done.
as a panel,
Yes,
right?
and.
Yes, and.
We keep feeding each other. Really?
We're gonna take this on the road, this panel, no doubt.
No, I do want to build on it because I feel like we keep trying to apply old models to new media, and it drives me nuts. And it's kind of like when you first think about mobile, and it was basically a big giant, internet page website on your phone, and you're trying to scroll around, and it's a horrible experience. And you slowly but surely tried to figure. We ultimately figured it out, kinda. We still are applying the old model. So AdPod's perfect example. That's how we did it for decades in linear television. Doesn't mean that is how we could or certainly should do it today. And so for me, I want us to figure out what an actual user experience is that still enables brands to connect with consumers, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't have to be in the content interruption sort of model.
Amen.
Nice. Like that build. Well done. All right, we're going to get back to our game. So we're going to do what I like to call word association. This is going to test our mettle, I think. We're going to go up and down the line. I'm going to give you a word or phrase, and you're going to say the immediate thing that comes to mind. Okay? One word. First word is, or first thing I'm going to say is generative AI. We'll start at the end, Mr. Havas.
Game changer, hyphenated.
Nice.
Double-edged, hyphenated.
Innovative.
A tool.
Progress.
Okay. Currency. Start here, go back down.
Attention.
Multiple.
Agreed.
There's no benefit to being the fourth person in line. You want to be on either end.
That's a sentence.
Try being
That's a sentence.
I'll go with multiple.
Money.
AI. Oh, I said that right. Premium video. Start back there.
What was it?
Premium video.
Quality.
Valuable.
Entertainment.
Valuable.
Long form.
Measurement. Yes, you.
Currency.
Transformative.
Value.
Slow.
Wild, Wild West.
Frequency management. Shane.
Storytelling.
Dan?
Confusing.
Scale.
Crucial.
Crucial.
Okay, that wasn't great. Sustainability.
Green.
Non-negotiable.
2
Important.
words.
Important.
Hyphenated.
Oh, good.
Did you go?
I did. I said it. I just seconded because that's what I do sometimes.
Critical.
Shane, sports.
Premium.
Fox.
Streaming.
Oh my God.
Can I add one?
Yes.
Betting.
Okay, good. I got 2 more. Creator economy. Creator economy.
Future.
Growing.
It's hard being in the middle or
Confusing.
Vibrant.
Future.
Okay, and last one, can. Shane?
Windy.
I was
I still can't get away from hot. It's going to happen in about an hour.
Valuable?
Debaucherous?
What you do last night, Dan?
There's a panel in and of itself.
I was
right
doing
there.
homework.
Important.
Nice. I'd give that a B+. That was pretty good. All right, nice. Well done. All right, last question. And then if anyone has any questions in the audience, we're going to each end with a bold prediction for CTV in the coming year. Why don't we start here?
No ad pods.
Ooh, that's a bold prediction. Okay.
Consumers have chosen already. I think at this point, it's going to be, we're going to see legacy linear TV brands, like in the CPG and the automotive space, shift more impressions into CTV than in linear.
Okay.
I mean, I think growth engine.
Oh, we skipped.
Oh, I didn't know if we were going in line.
We are, well, it doesn't matter.
Save me. I was
a minute. I mean, it's a growth engine. It is a growing part of the media ecosystem, and linear is balanced, per se. So I think there's going to be a lot of attention on it, and it's going to grow fast, and you'll see a lot more experimentation.
I'm just going to say evolution, right? Once again, as a broadcaster, CTV is the evolution of TV viewing, TV consumption. Users have tuned in. Users continue to buy smart TVs. This is what they want. We have to listen, and we have to continue providing that great experience.
Bold prediction. Apple buys Disney, or big tech buys legacy content company.
I think consolidation, which would have been my answer, is inevitable. I think there's lots and lots of companies out there and a lot of complexity, and I think that is probably true. If you look at the financial markets, that's probably a likely outcome. Anyone have any questions? Yes?
I have a question about QR. You want to take that? How you doing? Ken Weiner, CTO at GumGum. I have a question about QR codes. You guys were talking about QR code engagement. Is there a name for the metric for how many scans per how many impressions that you see on QR codes? And also, what would you say is a typical value or range of values for that metric from what you've seen for your advertisers?
Are we considering it interaction rate, engagement rate?
Scan rate, interaction rate, engagement rate are metrics that you can use. Scan rate's probably the one you're looking for in terms of like the analogous to like a click on an ad or a click-through rate. With engagement rate, our May benchmarks report has metrics on the overall performance aggregated across billions of impressions that we've served through the year. We see engagement rate for interactive, creative, choice-based formats to be about 6 higher than pro. That's engagement rates we're seeing around 17% higher than standard.
Right. And what about the number for scan rate?
It's in the benchmarks report. I don't have it on me off the top of my head, unfortunately.
Anyone else? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a part of this which is on the commerce front, right? So there's a part of this around understanding from the advertiser as a publisher what happened after things went into the advertiser land, which I think is probably, if you want to do more complex partnerships, is probably going to have to happen over the next couple of years for us to really help across in the commerce space.
Yeah, if we talk about partnership, that data has to come back for us to really, truly see what was effective and continue building on that partnership. Completely agree.
Yeah, and representing that side of it, I completely agree. It's incumbent on us / our clients to be able to make those data available. Completely agree. Not always the case.
I had a question around attention, especially with the partnership announcement this morning. Oftentimes when I'm watching TV, I'm also on my phone. My fiance is incredibly ADHD and is also on his iPad watching numerous TikToks, but he's always listening. So he is catching everything that's going on in the TV, even though he hasn't looked up from his iPad in 10 minutes and he has an ear pod in his ear. Is that something you're thinking about, given Gen Z and that generation, they're able to multitask even faster than me as a millennial? is. And I also think there's a rise in people that recognize that they have ADHD and that actually is a better way for them to pay attention when they're multitasking versus trying to focus on one thing.
Yeah, you actually took the first part of my answer, because I was going to say, as we get into current and future generations, it becomes, the multitasking is a natural state of existence. It's a preferred state of existence. So everything we're contemplating, which is why I feel like ultimately, even though I'm very proud of us for making this announcement and trying to lead the way, I think ultimately we need to arrive at a definition that works for everybody, especially if we get it to the level of currency. There's no question you have to have an agreed upon definition, but all of those factors factor in. So it's something that we are thinking about, or something that we tried to factor in, but again, developments, so we're at the nascent stage, developments have to happen.
We're held accountable by the advertisers, and should be. And right now the priority is on, I think, getting the consumer's attention entirely on the advertiser's message as best possible. That said, I think there's room. And people do interesting things. It's CTV, I mean, I think the YouTube TV does an interesting job with sound bites, when they have Slate or whatever. They're getting people's attention with things that are abnormal. Tubi, the Super Bowl ad, et cetera. So I think it can go both ways.
And again, if we start to rethink the model and not apply old ways to new media, I think that will help us even more. Because again, we keep trying to, well, how do we make the ad interruption? Maybe it shouldn't be an ad interruption. So I think the more we can expand our minds in that way, it's going to help us solve these other problems as well.
Any others? Please join me in thanking my panel. Thank you very much for a great chat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.